Getting married always seemed like something I would do. Cause, well, that's what one does, right? However, after years of dating, the frustration sets in, and I couldn't help but think, what is marriage? I know I want love, perhaps even a family, but at times it seems impossible to find, especially considering that 50% of marriages in the West end in divorce, and relationships are traded in again and again because, hey, it just didn't work out. I've come to know that arranged marriages, on the other hand, have a divorce rate of only 5%. I know not many modern-day women dream of an arranged marriage. I think most dream of being swept away by a flood of emotions and sexual chemistry. But are the chances of marital bliss higher in an arranged marriage? Are the couples in them genuinely happy? Doesn't the whole thing kind of sound barbaric? So I asked myself, how does this concept of arranged marriage work? Coincidentally, the one couple whose marriage I do admire and that has lasted 40 years is of my own parents that was arranged by their families. My parents saw each other for the second time on their wedding day. In fact, Dad recalls how between engagement and marriage, he'd forgotten what she looked like. Their only contribution was just to say yes or no. I had never really asked them about this before, so I decided to sit them down and find out, how did this all happen?
Yes, I remember. I think I was 17 years old. Then they mentioned. Then I asked some other questions. What about his family background? How many brothers and sisters he has? Then they just told me everything. I was very excited because that time marriage is really very big excitement for girls, because that time girls were not allowed to go out even to watch a movie. Then my father went back to my city and said, look, लड़का इस बहुत अच्छा है, वह अंगूठे की हीरा है. फिर इसके बाद मुश्किल से 2-3 हफ्ते बाद इनकी मदर और ये खुद एंगेजमेंट के लिए आए.
Now, I've always witnessed my parents to have something wonderful together. But maybe I'm being biased, or their arrangement could just be a fluke or perhaps serendipity. So I decided to look deeper into arranged marriages of other couples, not to prove that it is the best way, but to discover if there is a quality to these relationships that provide insight into what we might be lacking in our idea of modern love. I understand that couples agree to an arranged marriage because it's part of their culture. But I was curious to know so many aspects. What was this whole process like? How do you agree to marry a stranger? How much say do you have? And what is the first thought that goes in your mind when you see your future partner for the first time?
My parents said that, it's now time to get married. You completed your education, you got a job and everything. And so I said, yeah. So I said, okay, you find me a girl and I will, go for it. I always believe, in Indian family system and value system. And I always decided that, I would go with the Indian traditions where my mom get a say and chance in picking a bride for me, and I trust, her. This is her, liking and thing.
dad's elder brother and his dad, they knew each other from like 20-25 years back. So the family knew each other. He's good-looking guy. He's educated, good guy from good family.
Can you say that again once more?
No.
I went for my in-person interview. Putting in the terms of recruiting, and it was this house full of uncles, aunts, cousins. It was like a carnival or event. I mean, and then basically we get seated in a large living room, and so someone will come and offer us drinks and water and food and lunch.
Yeah.
But I was waiting to see where is she. When is she coming? I mean, then someone will come and say, okay, is she? Because I just saw the picture, right? And Rocky in front. So another girl came. She was her younger sister, and she looked like her. So I thought she is it, but she came and talked to me casually. I said, no, she can't be.
She can't talk to me like that.
And then she asked a couple of questions to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then we continued this discussion for another 5 or 10 minutes. So that was the moment, right? And that was one moment which pretty much decided everything.
मैंने फर्स्ट टाइम तुम्हारे डैड का फोटो जो है एंगेजमेंट से पहले देखा था. जिस दिन एंगेजमेंट हो रही थी उसी दिन इनकी मदर फोटो लेकर आई थी. तो उन्होंने पहले फोटो दिखाया था और उन्होंने फिर अपनी, जब मुझे देखा तो उन्होंने अपनी अंगूठी निकालकर मेरे हाथ में डाल दी थी और ये कहा कि अब हमारी बात जो है पक्की हो गई है. जब मैंने पहली बार तुम्हारे डैडी को देखा था तो उस समय लड़कियां जो है ज्यादा आंखें खोल के या सामने इस तरीके से फ्रंट में नहीं देख सकती थी. उनकी आंखें नीची रहती थी. नीची पलकों से अगर देख लिया तो मुझे याद नहीं, ये बस याद है कि हाँ लड़का पतला दुबला सा सांवला सा लड़का है बस. अगर कहीं और उसी दिन मुझे कहीं और कहीं मिल जाती तो I couldn't recognize. We were married on 31st of January and our engagement was 18th of December, on a month.
I had this fantasy of this, movies. They were like, they decorate the room with flowers and all that. You buy nice jewelry, you buy nice clothes, you get to go for a honeymoon. That's about it. But I wasn't I didn't have a concept, what is the biodata, like what the guy should be, whether he should be making money or educated, has a house, has a family, small family, big family. I didn't know anything about it. But the first time when I looked at him, when they left, I said, no, I don't like him. So he came to my workplace one time, lunchtime. He said, I want to take you out for coffee. And I thought that was quite bold at that time because we had not talked anything. I didn't know anything about it. So then I went back home in the evening and I told my mom, that this person came and we went out for coffee and I like him. After that, we were married in 11 days.
11 days, wow. Talk about short engagement. But what about love and romance? The concept of love is as old as Plato and as pervasive as a pop song. There are countless films, books, music that we've all grown up with that glorify the idea of a lover galloping to your rescue on a white horse or a grand grey majestic elephant if you're Indian for that matter. But I wonder, does our modern version of love come out of fantasy and delusion? How much of it is marketing by all these movies and songs that dictate to us what love is supposed to be, where we are fed passionate first kisses and miraculous overcoming of circumstances? We are also filled up with a sticky sweet diet of romance that perhaps we don't understand what a real partnership is. Are we in fact all too wrapped up in obtaining the idea of the picture perfect romance? Is it all some sort of an illusion to be rescued? I wanted to know, what would a divorce mediator say about this?
From the very, very beginning, are we given images that marriage comes out of romantic love? People should get married when they're like feeling all lovey-dovey, loosey-goosey, and happy in love. Like, oh, I met the greatest guy, and then 6 months later, I'm married to him. Right? How is that working for us? Remember that 50-60% divorce rate? If arranged marriages are to work, there has to be a little bit of a de-emphasis of your self-determination. And the fact that you are bonded to your family, that your fate is mixed in with other people. As my understanding from the people that I've talked to, I've asked them, why did you get married? And they've said things like, because my parents asked me to. And then I'll say to them, like, would you ever get to, like, did you love him? That's like one of my favorite questions. And a lot of times it was like, no. But I grew to love him. And I just thought, like, how different is that? For us, we need it all up front. Right? I want to know what your earning capacity is and your bottom line and your fertility and, like, I want to know your family. I want to live with you and see if you put the toilet seat down in the middle of the night. Like, I wanted the known product. I want the whys all answered. And then and only then I'll commit to get married. People that have had arranged marriages do have this more integrated sense with their family. And so to contemplate divorce just solely on, you know what, I'm no longer happy. When I slip in bed next to that person, they've gotten kind of fat. And this isn't what I picked. I picked the guy that went hiking all the time and had really great calves and all of that. Now that he's all fat, who wants to be with us?
I was set on the trail to find out more and discover more. I wanted to ask questions that will provide the answers. Questions that we should be asking before we walk down the aisle. I've always been curious. Why get married? What is the purpose of marriage? And how do you make relationships work? Who better to ask than my wise spiritual teacher, who is in love and has devoted decades in the worship of the goddess Chambi. Swamiji, as respectfully known, graciously imparted some of his wisdom for our generation.
Unfortunately, many relationships that begin in harmony don't have a clearly defined objective. Our goal has to be to create something together, to make something of our lives together, to make a lifestyle together.
Do I have to have a goal? What if I don't have a goal?
Stop! Right there, stop! If we don't know the goal, then how can you find the path? And if you don't have a path and you don't have a goal, how can you find a partner? The first thing which we do when we look for a partnership is say, a partner for what? It's not about just finding romantic enjoyment for a little while. That infatuation will flee very transiently. Because once you've made a commitment to a goal and you really have that commitment, it's really a joy, a real pleasure to do the sadhana, to fulfill that goal and to complete that commitment.
But if you are literally living a life that is based on duty, then what you can do is you can actually mine the circumstances that trap you and use them to liberate you.
They had made a commitment, yes. This is the guy, now they're married, and no matter what comes in life, there are good times, bad times, we have to be together.
मुझे शुरू में बिल्कुल नहीं लगा, शादी के बाद बिल्कुल नहीं लगा मुझे कि मुझे प्यार कुछ भी नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं। मुझे लगा कि मैं अजनबी आदमी के घर में गई है और उसके यहाँ रह ली, मैं चली आई। मुझे कुछ नहीं लगा कि कोई भी, उस समय ये भी नहीं था कि मेरा हस्बैंड है या आगे मुझे कुछ भी आगे की प्लानिंग या इसके साथ रहना है, कुछ भी करना, कुछ भी नहीं था मुझे।
It's ingrained in your brain that you know once you are older you will get married and you will leave the house and go to somebody else's house.
It's the family which is involved in bringing the couple together. Mom, dad from both sides, uncle, aunt, everything, everyone. So it's also the family who keeps the couple together for the rest of their life.
How do we work together as a joint family for the sustenance and nurturing of the whole family?
All the mothers, they always look for the betterment of their son. Apparently nothing can be predicted in a star, but I know with her experience, with her expectations. And when she said that to me, the girl is fine, I said to me also.
Because of duty and devotion to family and culture, is it possible that something deeper has a chance to grow? Something that we've rarely seen in modern day relationships.
Life without devotion isn't worthy of living.
Over here in US, you have someone arranging a speed date for you, or a dating company arranging a date for you. If you put in the same terms, it's your parents who are arranging the date for you, or who are arranging the meeting for you. All they do is they do the background check. That the family is good, and the boy is good, education, and all those background checks are completed. And then, they both agree, okay, now we'll let our kids meet.
There are certain things, I won't tolerate also. Like if I heard that, like somebody's abusive, somebody's a womanizer, or somebody's alcoholic, or drugs. Those are the things you shouldn't live with that kind of a problem, because it's not good for you. It's not good for kids. Unless it's extreme, you can deal with any other problems.
I spoke to many other couples as well about the rituals that make their marriage work. For example, I remember no matter what, my mother never ate without my father. Property was always bought under my mother's name. That was their way to show respect for their relationship. Every couple reiterated that sacrifices are made over and over for each other, which ensures codependency and trust. It was these little rituals that infused their relationship with consistent tenderness that created the respect that they still have for one another.
And financial issue is a big issue in most of the marriages. A lot of times, they have their own separate accounts, husband and wife. Then you don't feel the sense of security there. I think that's a bigger factor. We don't feel insecure about that. So even if we talk and we end up fighting, like, okay, his opinion is different and my opinion is different, but we do exchange notes with each other every day.
आपस में रहने के बाद में प्यार जैसे कहते हैं ना कि धीरे धीरे जो है हम एक दूसरे को पहचानते हैं, एक दूसरे की केयर करते हैं, तो शायद जो है बहुत ज्यादा प्यार है.
It wasn't logic, it was love. Words uttered by the beloved Carrie Bradshaw of Sex and the City, who so fantasizes about the perfect love that she exposes herself again and again to rejection and devastation. How much should be love and how much logic? I don't know. And I'm not advocating for arranged marriages to be the only way, as many have not worked out for the best, and times certainly have changed. But I want what these couples have, the union with the cosmos and the infinite friendship and love. Whether our eyes will lock across a crowded room or an introduction is made. What if I didn't expect to be in love with my husband when I married him, but choose him due to his virtues and our common lifelong goals, instead of the sweet, sticky expectation, and as Jerry Maguire says, to complete me? So what if Carrie was in an arranged marriage with her ex-love Aiden? What if that was the expectation? To make it work.
Like, there are the books for teenagers called Twilight, and there's a character in it named Edward, and I think to myself, wow, there's going to be so many clients in the future, because all these girls are going to grow up to be women thinking that they can meet an Edward or a Jacob or something like that.
Relationships are not meant to be difficult. Are we going to that relationship as a giver? Or are we going to that relationship with our defenses up, saying, don't take from me too much. I want to limit the amount that I'm going to give to you. It's a decision that we make about our friends It's a decision that we make about our marital relationships. If we go to that relationship and say, hey, I'm totally open, I'm totally vulnerable, you can't rip me off, you can't steal from me, I'm giving you everything, then how can we be injured?
Again, it's this idea of, in an arranged marriage, you're looking to make the bridge. You're looking to what is the best relationship I can construct here with this other entity.
Because marriage does not continue on its own. It's like Newton's third law, second law of motion. You have to have momentum to continue it. So you have to create the marriage every day. You have to create the marriage every second. And the creation comes from love, responsibility, where you contribute every day towards the success of marriage. So if you think that arranged marriage continues on its own momentum, no, it's not true. People take effort
you have to put
create
effort
it,
actually. Even if it's arranged marriage or love marriage, you have to put effort and you have to do that. It doesn't come, it won't go smoothly. In India, the divorce rate are lower. The reason being is that, like he's saying, right, the trust and all these things, those are in our root. When we get married to one person, we don't think that, okay, if it's not going to work out, we'll be separated. We don't go like that. We think like, okay, we don't have a choice of, or we don't think like if we are getting married, we will just be separated. We will work it out.
You get together, you get married first, and then the love happens. And then the beauty of love comes, and then you start knowing the person.
I mean, there were times like differences. I will say, oh, I'm going to leave you and this and that, And at the maximum, I'll go to my sister's house and go stay a couple of nights there. And once I have left him, like 2 days, every minute I'm looking at the door. Is he coming to get me? Is he coming to get me? Like, I'll look from the window. I couldn't stay there. Like, I want to come back to my own house, And sure enough, in few hours he will be there. We were always together. We always faced the problem together. We saw like, okay, this is a problem in our life. Either it's a house problem, or it's a financial problem, or it's a babysitting problem, or it's a job problem. We were always, in big matters, we were always together.
I was confident that I would be able to mold myself to her expectations and should be able to bring her to my expectations. So I was confident of this thing. It's a very difficult question to tell you that when did I really start loving her, loving wholeheartedly. I'm not sure when it started, but after she lived with us, with our family, I think she was very adjusting, and she was very caring, and hence I can't say that maybe within a week or so we started caring for each other, and this caring changed into such a deep love, which in Western societies or in movies they say love at first sight. That was definitely not the thing, but our love, I think, became very, very deep, very strong, and maybe it's due to her, mainly due to her. She was so devoted and committed, not only to me, towards everyone of the family, that I would say she won the heart of everyone, and especially mine.
Let's talk about the 7-year itch. What is that, and is that true? 7-year itch.
What is 7-year itch?
7-year life.
I thought everyone knew of the 7-year itch.
The biggest hurdle I face every day is that after I take my bath, I put the towel, and she doesn't like that.
You just left the towel on the bed or on the couch, and I don't like it. Every day, it's been 12 years. Every day after you take one, I think you left your towel here. Then you were like, oh yeah. yesterday I told him, it's been so many years I've been telling the same thing. Why don't you get a simple thing like you have to put a towel back? In India, people believe that when you're married to one person, you're not married to him just for this life, but for 7 lives you're married to that person. So for 7 lives, next life when you rebirth and all, they believe in that. So you're gonna get him or her. Then 7 lives you have to continue. After that you change to different partner.
So she says, okay, this is the 7th.
Okay, then I say something. Okay, this is the 7th and we are done.
I don't have any regret. Absolutely no regrets. Till date, no regrets.
हम तो बेटे बने ही एक दूसरे के लिए.
I would be almost semi-dead after she's gone. I think she has given me every comfort, everything I ever required. And I don't have any ambitions now.
बोली 5 साल के बाद तेरे हस्बैंड ने इतना लंबा लेटर लिखा है जो कि शायद कोई हस्बैंड 1 साल की शादी में नहीं लिखेगा. तो ये इससे ज्यादा प्यार का और इतने जो डीपली प्यार का और क्या सबूत हो सकता कि डैडी खाली नहीं थे कि यही काम है कि मुझे लेटर लिखे हैं. लेकिन उस समय इतना लंबा टाइम कि 2-3 महीने मेरे बिना बिताने जो वो बहुत बड़ी बात है. तो ये हमारे प्यार का ये एग्जाम्पल.
On board the shore, on the